It's life in prison for two convicted cop killers. But do you agree with that sentence? Or should the death penalty be mandatory for anyone who murders a police officer? It's your call right now.
Okay, calm down, man. What's the address here? 37, 4765 Armingo Ave. 37,
That's just one of the 911 calls a jury heard when considering the death penalty for two men convicted of shooting down Police Sergeant Stephen Liczbinski. The death penalty is always a topic for a debate, but never more so than when the victim is a police officer. Some people think it's never warranted, no matter who's been murdered, while others argue it should be mandatory if the victim is a public servant. We'll hear from both sides in just a moment. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lynn Doyle. A recent case in Philadelphia has once again sparked a long-time debate about putting people on death row. Two career criminals, Eric Deshane Floyd and Levon Warner, avoided the death penalty after a jury deadlocked on whether they should be executed for the murder of Sergeant Liczbinski back in 2008. Both were convicted of first-degree murder and now will each serve consecutive life terms with no chance of parole. Is that sufficient punishment, though, for the killing of a 12-year police veteran? Patricia Tedesco is the sister of a murdered police officer, Gary Tedesco, whose killer, Thomas Trantino, was originally sentenced to death. He had that sentence commuted to life and is now out of prison. That's why she's opposed to life sentences in favor of executions. But Michael Vanderveen is a criminal defense attorney and a member of the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, who says the life sentence for these two killers is appropriate. Pat? Michael, good to have you back with us. Thank you very much. We're going to find out what our viewers think in just a moment, but Pat, I have to get your reaction. Once again, your family's nightmare is revisited when you hear a verdict like this one.
It's just incredible that 47 years later, we haven't gotten it yet, that we're still giving life sentences to murderers of police officers. I mean, these are career criminals, just like Trantino, a career criminal, and we're going to put it, ultimately, my fear is always that you get life imprisonment, but then the laws change, and then they put him out on the street like they did with Trantino.
But Michael, what the judge said is that she was putting sentences into place that would assure that Pat's fears would never be realized, that there are so many life sentences served consecutively that they are sure to die in jail.
Absolutely. I'll tell you that in this case, Pennsylvania law governs. And today, under Pennsylvania law, you're convicted of first-degree murder, and you are not given the death penalty. You are getting life in prison without the possibility of parole. There's no way to get out of it. The mistakes that happened in New Jersey under the New Jersey law with Mr. Tarantino can't happen in Pennsylvania and can't happen in this case.
You always say they can't happen, but
they
you lived through it, right?
I lived through it, and they did happen. And if we don't want them out anymore, why can't we just kill them? Why are we paying as taxpayers to keep these two thugs in prison for the rest of their life?
Well, the reason why we can't kill these folks is because if you allow the government to be in the business of killing people, you allow for the possibility of the government to kill innocent people. And if the government kills innocent people, then the government's no better than Tarantino or Floyd or Warner or anybody else there who did the killing here. Now, the thing is, though, in this case, the judge did do something. The judge put on extra time beyond the life sentence so that even if their life sentences were commuted by a governor somewhere down the line, they still have all of this extra time that they're going to have to serve. So the chances of them getting out, it does not exist.
Is it a matter of when or if they get out, or a matter of justice, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, it is a matter of justice. I mean, these two guys killed a police officer, and we're going to put them in jail. We're not talking about innocent. There's not potential innocence here. We know they're guilty. So when we know they're guilty and we know they've killed a cop, we need to eliminate them.
Both of these men pled not guilty and were found guilty by a jury of first-degree murder. and that jury found them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. However, the jury did not find that they were the actual shooters.
I don't care.
These two gentlemen weren't the shooters. They were an accomplice in a felony robbery, which the officer stopped, and for which he was killed by another individual who's now dead himself.
All right, we're going to ask our viewers whether or not that makes a difference, because these two were convicted of first-degree murder but didn't actually pull the trigger. Would that make a difference in your opinion? If you want to tell us what you think, you can email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net. Joining our conversation now is Andy Hoover, who is the legislative director of the ACLU Pennsylvania chapter, along with Dr. James Williams, who is a police consultant as well as an adjunct professor at Rowan University's Law and Justice Department. Gentlemen, thank you for being here for a very important discussion as well. Always a tragedy when a police officer loses his life in the line of duty. Is it a double tragedy when the people who are responsible for the loss of life stay alive?
I would say that it certainly is. But before we get into whether or not we should put someone to death solely because he killed a police officer, we've got to look at the points concerning this move. What is the purpose of the death penalty in the first place? We all know, and police officers are taught in all the police academies across the country, that a life is a life. However, there's absolutely no one other than police officers and some of our men and women who are in the military who actually go on a job and say, my job is to put my life on the line for you folks in order for you to be safe.
And that's why so many people, Andy, actually do support the death penalty, particularly for individuals who murder a public servant like a police officer.
Sure, and I would be remiss if I didn't say something that I know all five of us agree with, and that is that anytime there's homicide, it's tragic and awful. It's something that nobody wants to have to experience. There is a way, though, to make our streets safer, make the public safer, and make our police officers safer, and that's by repealing the death penalty and putting that money you've spent on capital punishment into hiring more police officers. Pennsylvania State Police right now have 299 vacancies that they cannot fill because of budget problems. Philadelphia has a freeze right now on its recruiting classes because they have budget problems. Every study that's been done on the cost of the death penalty have actually shown that the death penalty costs more than even life without the possibility of
Really what he's saying is the front end of the argument that there's no benefit to the death penalty. There's no benefit that the government, society, or anybody else gets when you execute through the death penalty. There is no deterrent. It's racially, it's applied racially unevenly.
It's justice for the families.
It's revenge, and the government isn't in the business of revenge. It's in the business of punishment and or rehabilitation.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to give you an opportunity to tell us what you think. If you'd like to join in, you can email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net. We're going to find out what some of our viewers have to say about this very compelling topic when we return. Please stay with us.